A quick note before today's program. The interviews that follow were recorded in the days just before a huge explosion devastated large parts of Beirut on August 4th, killing more than 100 civilians and injuring thousands. Our hearts go out to the Lebanese and those we worked with in Beirut to make the photo exhibit Lebanon Then and Now possible. They're all safe, though many of our Lebanese partners sustained significant damage to their homes and offices. The incredible strength and resilience of the Lebanese are very much on display right now, and we hope that our exhibit will keep alive a conversation about how to help during these very challenging times. And now to the show.
From Washington, D.C., this is Middle East Focus.
Good morning. I'm Kate Seeley, Vice President for Arts and Culture at the Middle East Institute, and we're here to talk today about the MEI Art Gallery's latest show, Lebanon Then and Now Photography from 2006 to 2020, on view until September 25th. It was originally intended to be mounted in our gallery, but due to the closure of the gallery because of the coronavirus pandemic, it was transformed into a 3D virtual show and is now available for the whole world to enjoy on our website at www.mei.edu. Please check it out. By way of brief background, the MEI show is a reimagining of two previous shows on Lebanon that we felt spoke very strongly to each other at this time. The first was a show of photography staged by the Arab World Institute in Paris in the fall of 2019, entitled Lebanon Between Promise and Reality. And the second was a show of photojournalism called Revolt that was mounted in downtown Beirut in November 2019 in response to the October protests over the government's political and financial corruption and mismanagement. And it was organized by the Beirut Center of Photography and the Association for the Promotion and Exhibition of the Arts in Lebanon. Our show, Lebanon Then and Now, brings these two shows together in a very unique dialogue. And here to discuss it are three people who have contributed so much to all of the exhibitions, and all of whom, I should note, are based in Beirut. We are joined by Chantal Fahmy. Chantal was the curator of Revolt and joined us to curate and make possible Lebanon Then and Now. She herself is a photographer with a master's in art criticism and curatorial studies from Saint Joseph University. Her work focuses on the everyday, the small details in life. Also joining us today is Vicky Mokbel, whose work was featured in the Paris show. Vicky has had a long career in photography, studying photography at ICAR in Paris and working there as an assistant photographer to a very prominent studio photographer. She later returned to Beirut after the end of the war in 1996 to establish her own studio where she works with a range of clients. And finally, I'm pleased to welcome Marwan Tahta, whose protest work hung originally in downtown Beirut. Marwan has been working for Lebanese newspapers, news agencies, and international NGOs since 2000. In addition to shooting his independent work, which he has exhibited in Europe and the Middle East, he has a master's in photography from the École Nationale Supérieure de la Photographie in Arles. Thank you all so much for joining us today, and also a big thanks to our co-sponsors who helped make this show possible: the Arab World Institute, the Beirut Museum of Art USA, the Association for the Promotion and Exhibition of the Arts in Lebanon, and the Beirut Center of Photography. Thanks to you all again. Now to our discussion. So Chantal, tell us more about Lebanon Then and Now. Who's in it? What are the thematics? And what was your curatorial vision?
It's a show of 17 Lebanese young photographers and an Italian filmmaker. All the artworks tell the story of Lebanon over the past 15 years, since 2006. It comes out of two shows. The first one, at the entrance of the Institut du Monde Arabe, tells the story of the social and geographic realities in Lebanon and the aftermath of the civil war, capturing all the physical changes and the landscape and the architectural image of the city Beirut and the country in general. The second show represents the uprising in Lebanon in October 2019, and it features many Lebanese well-known photojournalists and other young emerging photographers. Both of them give us a full image of the country between the civil war and now.
Yeah, it's really interesting how one show builds on the other to give a more complete portrait of Lebanon's past and its present situation. Tell me more about the photographers and the different styles that the show combines.
Actually, the show combines two styles of photography: the art and the conceptual photography and documentary photography. It was the first part of it. And the second part is a full photojournalism aspect. We can see Miriam Boulouth breaking down the stereotypes on our society, showing the women's freedom and the nightlife in the city and Beirut. Maria Kassab also, after the civil war, imagining the lost identities and the idea of the separation. Among of Dalia Khamisi, also documentary about the missing people in the civil war. So the majority was documentation. Vladimir Antaki work, for example, was slightly different. It was a digital patchwork of the old architectural patterns of Beirut. The rest of the show, the revolt part, we can see the photojournalistic aspect and Blanche Aid with her iconic photograph that remind us of one image of the Civil War. Women dancing in the middle of the whole chaos, and but the difference is that now it feels it's another feeling. She was more happy. The photo that remind us of the Civil War, while the photo of the Civil War was a more dramatic and a really sad situation. Also, we can see Ahsen Baidoun with the photograph titled Motherhood, featuring two mothers hugging and all the positive energy that was breaking. After the clashes of the ring, we have the peace, like we have the peace in this photo. We have the photo of Emilie Madi, the clashes on the ring, and then we have the motherhood photo featuring this peaceful moment between the two sides of the ring.
Mm, yes, a moment of unity. Yeah.
Yes.
So quite a array of very interesting photographers.
Yes, Badr Safadi showing Tripoli in a new image. You can see the Sahat al-Noor in this place, the center of the city. That festive, and you have all the generations, the old, young, all very happy. It's like a festive moment. It's not like a revolution, an aggressive one. So it's showing the next day actually of the revolution on October 18, different than the other region. While we had the tires with Elias Mubarak photo burning down in the streets in Rounier and Beirut and Saida. We have this different moment and different energy in Tripoli. So it was very impressive to have this photo in the show.
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece. Now, you curated the original show Revolt that hung in downtown Beirut, Chantal, and the images hung outside, outdoors, and eventually they either disintegrated or were torn down. So, what was it like for you seeing these images, the photojournalist images from that period, in a formal gallery? And as the curator of both shows, how does it feel for you to see these images be given a new opportunity to be seen globally through this 3D exhibition?
Actually, the first show I did in downtown in the street of Beirut, the idea was to show the public this story. So all the chronicles of the revolution. It was made to be public and to be seen by everyone, and no gallery walls. It was all free, and it was coming out from the street, and it was presented in the street. Now it is it's a global and more public with the online experience. So it's more public, if we can say, and it is accessible from all around the world, and it's impressive to see and to reach all the countries and to give them access to see this story. It's another experience in the online, but it's quite impressive and very interesting to show it. the documentation, after all, of the country, the situation, the past and the present. So it's like a brief of the archive of Lebanon.
Exactly. And it helps keep the story alive. Thank you, Chantal. So, Vicky, your series in our show, ADL On, Off, In, Out, captures so powerfully and so subtly the symbol of so much that went wrong with Lebanon and that led to the protests in October. Your series captures Beirut's iconic Électricité du Liban building, that is the state owned institution responsible for providing Lebanon with electricity. And I think what I need to tell our listeners is that Lebanon has had no reliable power since the end of its civil war in 1990, and that power cuts have been getting worse and worse. In fact, I think cuts are up to 14 hours a day, right? And this forces people who can afford it to pay for expensive private generators. So, Vicky, talk to us about the ADL series. What attracted you to it, and what does the series represent?
Hello, everyone. I'm very pleased and honored to be part of all this exhibition. Thank you, all of you, to make it happen. First of all, I want to say that it's one of the biggest economic chasm, abyss, the electricity of Lebanon. I'm speaking as a witness, eyewitness, personal witness. And as you said, it's been like 45 years we are living without electricity. And after the war is finished, 30 years now. So it's really amazing. In April 2050, the building located in Maram Khail neighborhood immediately caught my eye. I'm a lover and observer of architecture, and thus the context and the aspects of the structure are immediately blinding obvious. So I kept these thoughts in my mind, and I said I should make a testimony of this. And it tells a story of all countries' predicament. So at the time, I went to make my scouting, and the building facing UDL was in the same aspect. So I entered this building and entered inside an apartment totally abandoned. I felt exactly the same spirit between the apartment and the building facing the apartment.
They're both abandoned.
Yes, the same colors, the same spirit, the same monochrome. It was so obvious that it was like a revelation. Like you are in the dark room and you are taking out your, processing your picture, you're printing your picture, the same feeling. So to my surprise, the building facing the L is similar to its neighborhood. All is abandoned, apartment, electricity, people. These facing to face buildings are in the same state of decay, optical, symmetry, correlation of soul, spirit. Everything was so sad that I felt I should take material photography up to this whole context. Light, easy to hide, fast freehand work, different than usually where I'm very precise and very technical.
Interesting. Yes, I should explain. You've got two photos that show the exterior of ADL, taken perhaps from, I don't know, the street, and two taken from inside these abandoned homes through the doors and the windows.
Absolutely.
What's interesting about the symbolism of ADL, in addition to its representation of the corruption, in Lebanon, the lack of power that it has provided its people, is also, I think, the fact that it was, when it was built in the 60s, Vicky, it was really seen as an architectural gem, right? It was sort of represented the golden era in Beirut.
Absolutely. It was something really huge at this time. And it was really the concept was exceptional. And when you realize that it stays static for all these years, nothing moved, nothing, it's going, falling apart. It's simple what's happening here. We are all left alone. The electricity, the building, the people, the living, the economy, it's all the same. All is neglected, rid of vermin and devoid prospects. The problem is ever present. We live in the same rhythm of the power outages. I don't know what to say more. It's sadness. It's dark.
Literally and symbolically. Well, it's interesting because this series, in a way, foreshadowed, Vicky, what was to come, right? I mean, the protests over the financial collapse, the lack of electricity. So you were responding even before this all came about. You were foreshadowing it in this series, and I'm just curious. Once the protests started, how did you respond as a photographer? Did you want to take your camera out, or is this not your style? And yeah, tell me sort of, now how you're responding as a photographer to the current situation.
With the current situation, I was really happy. And I went into the street like I'm going to a garden. And I was so happy people woke up. Everybody went directly like a reflex. I took my camera later on to also participate to this movement who was I was waiting for, because when I saw the Électricité du Liban, like I don't know how many years ago, I was waiting for these people to wake up, and now it was happening. It was so huge that I felt very happy, and I thought I could change something. Now I don't know, my state of mind after all these months, it's a bit darker, unfortunately.
I think everyone is very disappointed that the change that everyone had hoped for has not yet come. We'll come around at the end to sort of what people are working on and looking forward toward in their work. But let me bring Marwan into the conversation because, of course, Marwan, you're a seasoned photojournalist with several images in the show. You were very involved in capturing the protests and the moment, which you continue to do. Now, one of the images that you took in the show is extremely iconic. It shows two protesters wearing gold face masks with fires burning in the background. It's both beautiful and disturbing at the same time. Tell us, Marwan, about this image, how you came to take it, and what it really says to you.
Hello, everybody. And like Vicky said, we are all happy to be part of this exhibition. This photo, I took it on the second day, and when the revolt began on 17 October. Sure, I went directly to the street because for me it was the first time that all the people from north to the south of Lebanon went to the street, and it was something new in Lebanon. Sure, we have always demonstration, but this revolt it was different. Concerning to the photo, this photo it was on the second day. On 17 October, I went to the street maybe at 11 or 12 at night, and I stayed till 7 the morning. And I just went to the home just 2 hours to get rest. And after that, quickly, I went to the street again. So I was in Beirut and I took these photos. Sure, I took a lot of photos, but this photo, it means a lot of me.
Well, talk about this photo, why it means a lot to you. It's two men in these gold masks. I mean, they were wearing these masks to hide their face from the authorities. What was the setup, and how did they come to be wearing these masks? I mean, people cover their faces, but not usually with gold masks.
Yes, we saw a lot of demonstrators wearing this mask. And maybe sometimes they are afraid from the police. Sure, there is a lot of people, they don't wear the mask because, as I said, all the people in Lebanon, when they get to the street this time, and they are not afraid. There's a power on the street. And like I said, it was totally different than the 2015 and also 2011. Sure, in 2015, it's good, and also 2011. But in the 17th October, it was totally different for me and for all the people, and also for the photographer who document all the demonstrate on the street.
Yeah, well, it was very different, and I'd like to go there a little more deeply. So, of course, it's different because you're covering these protests as a photojournalist, but you're also Lebanese, so it must have been extremely personal and emotional in a way that, like other shoots where you have not been. Can you talk about how it was for you personally to be there in the middle of the crowds, sort of doing your work, but also, I'm sure, feeling many other things?
Yes, if I want to talk about this revolution, sure, I am a photographer, and every day till now, I document all the things that happen in my country. And sure, I was with those people because I am one of them. I am not only that photographer that I took just photo like that. Sure, I wanted to say something. I wanted to talk about something. Actually, we are writing our history through our eye, through our cameras, to talk about the new generation and lots of things.
Yes, indeed. You are the sort of archivists of history, and I'll talk about that at the end. But in being part of these protests, I mean, sometimes, in other countries, photographers and the media are not welcomed. But I imagine, what was your relationship like with the protesters? How did they see you and welcome you as a photographer of that moment?
At the first, it was good, but sometime, sure, we have problem on the street. But the documenting of this revolution, it was good for me. Like I said, sometimes, sure, like many photographers, we have a problem with the police, with some people. You know the situation in Lebanon. It's not easy to be on the street. The politics situation, the corruption, and all that.
I see from your Instagram that you're continuing to cover protests and sort of other challenges in Lebanon. Tell us a little bit about your ongoing work.
We cannot see much of people now in the street because there's coronavirus. The dollar is now up to 10,000 or 8,000. And people are suffering now. There is no electricity. So I hope that people came on the street. But at the same time, I still documenting everything. Maybe now I will document in a different way, not only on the street. Maybe I will get into some neighborhood, talking about poverty, going to Tripoli, and there is a lot of things. For me, this is the beginning. Change it would take a lot of time.
Indeed, that's a very good point, and that segues beautifully into my question to you all, Chantal, Vicky, and Marwan. You're all photographers based in Beirut. You're all witness to and documenting the changes before your eyes in different ways and in different styles. Your images are shaping our memory and our understanding of Lebanon, and it's a huge responsibility. And I want to know how you all view your role and responsibility as capturing and documenting history in place. Is there another story, perhaps a more positive story or not, that you would like to tell about Lebanon and what it's going through or the future that you anticipate?
Of course, it's a big responsibility to document what's happening, the present and the past. It's the archive of the country. It will be the reference for later on for the next future generation. For now, we have a lot to document. We have a lot to work on, and we should be aware. The same thing that we did in this show. We linked two shows to see and to ask a question: why this uprising happened. And we have the responsibility to search and to know why everything is happening and what to do as a photographer, curator, and Lebanese, of course.
Indeed. Thank you. Vicky, how do you view your role and responsibility as capturing and documenting history in place? What are you thinking about working on? What stories do you still want to tell?
Really, I would like to talk about another subject, another symbol. And I'm working currently on a new project for more than 1 year. And it's really important to me. It's the port of Beirut for its all symbolism. It's the first time in history that someone was able to access inside.
Wow.
I didn't reveal it yet. I'm waiting for the right time. It was an extraordinary experience and feelings. Even now, I'm talking to you and my heart is beating. Really, it's a part of our history because of we were Phoenicians, sailors, immigrants, as exporter on our economy, the sea, our geography, our culture. We are open to this sea, to all the world. From all my heart, I went inside and I wanted to witness this new subject. But as usual, because I like beautiful things and not ugly things, I took aesthetic of it, but I work on it from the realism to the abstract. And really, I'm so sad. I can't anymore go inside because what's happening, and because the whole process of entering inside is so complicated to have the authority of many sectors very complicated مخابرات أمن العام
Those are all intelligence and
maybe
security.
yes
Yeah.
yes security transportation. So now I'm like sad that I finished the project, but I could stay for years and years without ending my subject.
Wow. Well, when will we get to see these images of the port of Beirut?
We will wait the right time. Now it's not the right time. And I would like really to share it with a huge and nice exhibition if possible. I posted some pictures only to reveal a bit and to tell the story that I work on this project on Instagram. But I reveal only really not few, very, very little.
Wonderful. Well, we look forward to the unveiling of this very important topic and show. Thank you, Vicky. Madwan, what about you? In closing, how do you view your role and responsibility? And looking ahead, what's the other story or the next story that you'd like to tell about Lebanon and its people?
My story, it's that I'm documenting all that demonstration, all the things that happen now in Lebanon. This is my story, and this is the story of the people. This is the story of Lebanon. If I want to talk about something positive, yes, the 17th of October, it was very positive things to me and to many people. Sure, there's a lot of problem, there's a lot of complication in my country, but sure, I will stay beside those people in the street to document all things.
Well, you're giving them a voice, right? I mean, so often protesters, they're claiming their voices and helping to amplify their voices and their demands through your work. So it's very, very important, and we'll continue to watch out for your work through Instagram and on other platforms. Well, thank you all so much. I'm afraid we're running out of time. I appreciate your insights and your beautiful work in our show. It's so powerful. We've had such great attendance. So many people have been visiting the 3D exhibit. So just a reminder to our listeners to, if you haven't, to also come visit the show at mei.edu and to follow us on Twitter at MEI Arts Culture. Thank you all once again and take care.
This has been a presentation of the Middle East Institute. To support MEI's programs and podcasts, please donate at www.mei.edu. Thank you for your support.